Just give us a sense about the situation where you are.
Yes, so we, as you've received us very well in a very high level in UK quite recently, and we think that MPs, specifically women, have to be joining the diplomatic missions because, as UK citizens know, men from 18 to 60 are not allowed to leave the country, with few exceptions of this rule, which was the decision of the at the highest level taken and voted and supported by the parliament. At the moment, we are in the regions which we represent, and we are traveling across the country as well. A couple of days ago, we've had another very important meeting in Kiev, voting on more than 20 laws which are linked to social life, economy, supporting of business, medical sphere, and of course, security and defense. Currently, as the governor and the city mayor of Lviv, the city which you've mentioned, located in the very far west, mentioned rightly yesterday, there is no more secure place in Ukraine. So, when we are being asked, are you safe right now? The safety is quite, can be temporary. For the moment, we still face very harsh difficulties with securing the humanitarian corridors, and that's how we are trying to raise this issue across the globe so that the International Red Cross, UNHCR, and other international organizations dealing with human rights and have an actual mandate for these green corridors would play a better and more decisive role. And we salute the efforts of the Minister of the Temporary Occupied Territories. She's doing a great job, and more than 7,000 people are being rescued every day. So let's say 90% of the green corridors do work. We have some shortages in terms of access to some smaller cities, and one of the hero cities, which is of course Mariupol, becoming second Aleppo, or a symbol of the of this glorious fight of Ukrainian nation against Russian invasion, Russian occupation, Russian aggression. But there are many more of such Mariupols, which are the smaller cities next to the, for instance, my home city Kharkiv, far in the east, which is just 40 minutes away from the Russian border. The city of Izum, which is translated as Raisin, or the city of Bagaduhiv, Chuguev, and other ones. We are trying to do our best so that our volunteer groups, which are operating on the ground, can reach out to the people to deliver food, medicine, and water. What I have to mention right now, that twice already during this week, Russian soldiers shoot in the civilians who were queuing next to the post office in Kharkiv and next to the hospital, city hospital, to receive humanitarian aid. This is a complete disaster. We have more than 80 people who died and many more injured. This is just an absolute fact of a war crime against Ukrainian civilian population. This is definitely not soldiers against soldiers. This is something which is going beyond the normal understanding of war conducts of any point. Therefore, the Prosecutor General Office, human rights organizations are recording these cases, and it's very important to do it right now so that they're not lost and the justice will prevail once we win this war.
It's so heart-wrenching to hear you talk about incidents like that, the shooting of people as they queue for supplies. You've also, in your work, going around talking to different countries and their parliaments, you've spoken out about what's happening to women, and you said that women have been raped and hanged in Ukraine. Oh, I think we may have lost you, but hopefully we got you.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. It's
Good.
Just the calls
Excellent.
are coming in, yeah.
What is happening to Ukrainian women?
There is one case which was very widely discussed recently because it's been recorded and preceded with the prosecutor's office. And we're not going into details, but it's quite a scary scene when a civilian was shot dead in his house in a small town next to Kiev. His wife was, I'm sorry, but I have to say it, raped several times in front of her underage child. And this is something which is absolutely unaccepted in terms of, talking about it public, because there are many more victims rather than just this one case which has been made public by the prosecutor general. And of course we are expecting many more of them which will be public once victims will be ready to talk about them, so we can bring them on. That really made a huge, information wave in the media recently. During this week I've been interviewed by many journalists, and we will definitely not be silent about it, because during the war itself is violence. When the violence is sexual, when the violence is just a horror, when what would be was this child who witnessed once the mom was raped just in front of him or her. That's just terrible. That's why, when we've been talking to Boris Johnson, when we've been talking to your Home Office, when we've been talking to MPs of UK, we've also raised this issue that this aftermath, which we are dealing with right now, the aftermath of war, has to be taken very cautiously, very seriously, and to take into account the UK experience and the experience of other countries, which can help us in dealing with psychologists and help these people to actually live over these cases, to keep going afterwards, to keep living, to still be living in the normality of this world and of this life. That's what we have to do right now. But of course, justice has to prevail. That's why these cases are taken very seriously, and we are very thankful for the prosecutor general, who is also from Kharkiv city. She's a lady herself, and she takes it very, very, very harsh and very strong. And recently she signed a memorandum with 2 EU countries to proceed with such cases and to exchange the information. I'm sure UK would join this working group.
Thank you. So I know it's so hard to talk about these things, but it is so important to give a voice to what is happening. So we
absolutely
do appreciate that.
Absolutely.
We don't have long left, but just a quick thought from you on the hope of any peace deal. It must be difficult for Ukrainians, after going through what you have, to imagine striking any kind of agreement with Russia. But do you think one might actually happen?
President Zelensky, since day one in his office, always spoke about fair peace and was always ready for direct, peaceful negotiations. Another part is that we've witnessed for more than 8 years of the Russian aggression, where the negotiations were done in trilateral contact group between the representatives of Donbas, Ukraine, mediated by OSCE, that Russia is never ready for a fair peace talks. And when we are remembering the first round, second round in Belarus, during this time, my home city was bombarded. What kind of approach to peaceful negotiations is that? So we, as Ukraine, as a state, always rely on international law, international humanitarian law. We keep it up every time. Nevertheless, that when the aggressor is trying to, twist it over and use absolutely, terrible means. Offers like, let's do green corridors to the occupied territories of Ukraine, to Crimea, to Donbas. Let's move people to Belarus or Russia. Let's take their passports away, etc. And these casualties which are happening, which are now being recorded, there are no means for them to get away with it anymore. It's been the world was half blind through this 8 years of war, but I think now it's the time when we all have to press Russia as a collective West, as a collective international society, to be responsible for the actions for the brutality which they are conducting right now. So we do believe in peace, but only based on international law, and a peace which is a fair peace.